Good afternoon. TVS Television has lost its licence to broadcast in the south and southeast. The Independent Television Commission has announced that Meridian Broadcasting has won the franchise. It will take over broadcasting in the region in January 1993. There were 4 applicants for the region, one of the most lucrative in the ITV network. Graham Bowd reports.
First news of the franchise arrived on a fax machine in the TVS boardroom, where senior executives were gathered.
Meridian's got it.
The official announcement was made at the ITC headquarters in London. It was relayed direct to staff at the TVS studios in Southampton, who'd learned a few minutes earlier that the company had lost its franchise. 800 jobs are now at risk, though TVS will continue to broadcast until the changeover at the end of next year. The franchise was won by Meridian Broadcasting, backed by the powerful MAI Group. 3 bids for the region were considered to have passed the quality test, a 4th failed on quality grounds. The TVS bid was by far the biggest. The Commission considered it too big.
Well, it did not appear to the Commission that TVS would be able to maintain its proposed service through the licence period. Of the 2 remaining applicants, Carlton and Meridian, the latter had made the highest cash bid. Meridian is awarded the licence with a cash bid of £36.523 million.
In a statement, TVS chairman Rudolph Agnew said, "We do not understand why the ITC has taken the view that it has of the application, and we will be seeking further clarification." In 9 years of broadcasting, many TVS programmes like the Ruth Rendell Mysteries have won wide acclaim. But now the people who made them face an uncertain future. Graham Bowd, TVS News, Southampton.
A man is appearing in court today following the seizure of cocaine in Sussex worth £400,000. The drugs were discovered by customs officers at Newhaven during a routine check. The cocaine was found behind the back seat of a Daimler car, which had just arrived on a ferry from Dieppe. It's the biggest haul of hard drugs seized at Newhaven. Sussex police, investigating the discovery of a headless body, will be questioning all passers-by in the village of Bolney over the next 2 days. Officers will be talking to all motorists, walkers and horse riders from now until Friday in their search for clues. Detectives believe the man's torso was dumped at Bolney, north of Brighton, a week ago. One line of inquiry is that he was the victim of a gangland killing. And detectives investigating the death of Southampton gold dealer Ricky Hayward have renewed their appeal for information about the murder. 36-year-old Mr. Hayward was killed by a gunman in a flat above his shop exactly 2 years ago today. He was shot several times at point-blank range. The motive for the murder is still not known. 3 hospitals in Dorset are expected to be among around 100 named today as opting out of health service control. The brand new General Hospital at Bournemouth is expected to be given the go-ahead to become a self-governing trust under the government's reforms of the NHS. Today sees the announcement of the second wave of hospitals choosing to opt out of the health service. Poole General Hospital is also applying to become self-governing, along with Christchurch Hospital and Dorset Community Health Service. A battle is being waged on the beaches of a Sussex resort. It's over a plan to make people pay the community charge on their beach huts. As Mark Bishop reports, the owners say the charge is unfair and unworkable.
Smaller than a garden shed with not even a window to look out of, these huts were designed to store the minimum of beach requirements. The Inland Revenue, under government authorisation, has now decided the huts, all 450 of them along Hove's seafront, are commercial properties. And that means every owner has to pay £77.20 a year in rates. Today, Hove's angry beach hut owners met to formulate a plan to fight the decision.
I think it's most unfair, especially for a lot of the old age pensioners that really can't afford it but do enjoy to sit out there for a few hours.
This is not a commercial facility. It is, in fact, quite the opposite. It's a local amenity.
Hove Borough Council has been told to collect the new charge, but even the council agrees the new rate is unfair and is now urging the Inland Revenue to change its mind. Mark Bishop, Hove.
The multi-million-pound scheme to redevelop Southampton Airport could begin next year. The airport at Eastleigh would have all its spare land developed for light industry, commerce and leisure, and the airport terminal itself would be modernised. Department of Transport originally objected because of fears about increased airport traffic using the nearby M27 junction. But developers say they've now overcome these problems. If this is confirmed in the coming weeks, an outline planning permission would be granted next month. Winchester MP John Brown was one of 7 Conservative MPs who last night voted against the government bill to cut the armed forces. Mr Brown tabled an amendment claiming the government was putting financial priorities before national defence, but it was defeated and the defence cuts were approved by a majority of more than 250. The government is ordering new ships to replace 2 amphibious vessels based at Portsmouth. The ships being lost are HMS Fearless along with HMS Intrepid. Defence Procurement Minister Alan Clark said amphibious forces will become increasingly important because of their flexibility. 10 soldiers were taken to hospital this morning after their Land Rover crashed on the A33 Chandlers Ford bypass in Hampshire. Their vehicle collided with an articulated lorry and a JCB digger near the M27 junction. The soldiers escaped with cuts and bruises. Weathermen have issued a warning of gale force winds over the next 3 days. 4 years ago, damage during the Great October Storm ran into hundreds of millions of pounds. The gales were the strongest experienced in the south for more than 500 years. The weathermen say the gales heading our way for the rest of this week won't be destructive, but they advise people to take precautions against possible storm damage. Soccer, and Southampton striker Alan Shearer scored twice to help the England under-21 side beat Turkey 2-0 at Reading last night. Shearer has now scored 13 goals in 11 international appearances. But despite the win and Shearer's goals, Poland have qualified for the quarter-finals of the under-21s European Championship. 2 taxi drivers from Reading are celebrating a win worth over £100,000 in a Spot the Ball competition. The 2 brothers, Shabir and Nasir Bashir, won with a £2 stake. They're now planning to fly to Australia to watch the Cricket World Cup. That's all the TVS news from the south. There'll be more from us at 3:20. Goodbye.
Good afternoon. Well, the rain was on schedule this morning. There's been some heavier bursts, but beginning to peter out now. In fact, if we have a look at the satellite picture, you can see the back end of the main cloud now coming into Devon and Cornwall, into Wales, heading our way quite quickly. So for the rest of the day, well, we can start out with a cloudy picture with the outbreaks of rain around, but that wind will soon come round to the west, quite strong, and that'll start to move the rain away. Probably not clearing East Sussex, though, until late afternoon in towards dusk. And by that time, perhaps even a touch of sunshine for Berkshire and Wiltshire. Your best temperatures 15, 59. And then for tonight, well, dry and clear certainly to start with, so a bit of a cool night, temperatures down to 7, that's 45, and then 1 or 2 showers appearing, I think, towards dawn. Tomorrow, quite a bright start, just 1 or 2 showers around to start the day off, but the clouds bubbling up, some quite hefty blustery showers coming along in the afternoon. Your best temperatures, quite a cold 12, that's 54, and those winds strong northwesterly, gusting up to 60 miles per hour near some of those showers. Well, that's all from me now. Have a good day.
Life tonight, but no clues as to who the victim is. You can find out from Michael Aspel tonight at 7.
On Coast to Coast tonight, TVS loses its licence to broadcast in the south. How do the viewers react?
Meridian Television will take over in January 1993. They tell us what they have on offer.
And a centre for learning about the countryside and the environment is under threat through lack of funds.
So that's Coast to Coast tonight at 6.
Four of Britain's ITV companies lose their licences. Granada Television and Coronation Street are safe. Waldegrave, 99 new hospitals to get trust status. And Major face-to-face with Mandela at the Commonwealth Summit.
TVS loses its licence but is considering legal action.
Meridian's chief executive tells us what he has to offer.
A heart patient can't have life-saving surgery because of cash cuts.
And why lessons about the countryside are under threat. Good evening. Not too good a day for us today. In a moment, more on today's news that TVS has lost its licence to broadcast to the south. But first, an assurance that Coast to Coast will continue as normal for the next 14 months.
Yes, we'll both still be here to carry on bringing you the very best possible news coverage for the region.
The new licence for the south was awarded to Meridian Broadcasting. They're due to take over in January 1993. But TVS has said it's considering asking for a judicial review of the decision. The company employs 800 people in the south and the southeast.
The Independent Television Commission said that TVS's programme plan passed their quality threshold, but the business plan didn't. TVS had bid £59 million for the licence, £20 million more than Meridian. Graham Bowd reports.
9:43 this morning and high noon for TVS as the outcome of its franchise bid arrived by fax. Senior executives were waiting for the news.
Meridian's got it.
The official announcement came a few minutes later from the ITC headquarters in London. It was shown live at the company's studios, but by then staff already knew the worst. After 9 years, the makers of such successful programmes as the Ruth Rendell Mysteries had lost their broadcast franchise for the South and South East. Licence applications for the 16 ITV regions went in last May, when the television companies lodged sealed bids. There were 3 applicants for the southern region which met the ITC's programme standards. A 4th failed the quality test. The TVS bid of nearly £60 million a year was by far the largest. The ITC clearly considered it was too big to leave enough funds for programmes.
It did not appear to the Commission that TVS would be able to maintain its proposed service through the licence period. Of the 2 remaining applicants, Carlton and Meridian, the latter had made the highest cash bid. Meridian is awarded the licence with a cash bid of £36.523 million.
Later, he was asked to explain why the TVS bid did not satisfy the Commission.
We're not prepared to go into what aspects of their confidential business plan, which we are committed not to publishing, not by us, we had to sign to say we wouldn't publish business plans. We're not prepared to comment on which aspects we were unhappy with. We were obviously unhappy with it.
TVS will continue to broadcast until the end of next year, when the changeover comes into effect. It means that popular shows like TV Weekly, which is made in Southampton, could be lost to the ITV network. The station's flagship programme, Coast to Coast, has twice been voted the best regional news magazine in Britain, and the news operation has received heavy investment. But its losses left TV. Chairman James Gatwood resigned. But the new management backed its franchise bid with a new share issue and cash from 4 major investors. Tonight, the chairman, Rudolph Agnew, said, "We do not understand why the ITC has taken the view that it has of the application, and we will be seeking further clarification." From viewers, there were mixed reactions.
I reckon it's terrible, really. You've been on the air for so long, and I reckon it's disgusting, really.
I can't see why we're actually franchising off in the first place, because I think if people are going to have to bid £60 million for a franchise, then we're going to lose the quality of programmes at the end of the day.
Couldn't care less, really.
3 years ago, TVS shares stood at more than £4. Last night, they were at 28 pence. Today, after a brief rally, they sank further to 22. Instead of celebrating, many of the 800 TVS staff used champagne to commiserate. The company's directors have not so far given any interviews. Graham Bowd, Coast to Coast, Southampton.
So, what will Meridian have to offer viewers in the south when they take over the licence in 1993? Guy Phillips went to their offices in London to find out.
Hello, Meridian Broadcasting. celebrations for the staff of Meridian today, but from tomorrow, 15 months of hard work lies ahead as programme ideas are transferred from paper to the screen. The company's most radical plan is to create 3 separate news operations in the region. In Southampton, its headquarters, Newbury and Maidstone. These will be backed up by smaller studios in 7 towns across the south, plus 1 in London. The company will broadcast its Newbury operation from this complex in the town.
Locally, I have a high respect for the coast-to-coast programmes in Maidstone and Southampton. I hope we'll be producing an excellent 3rd regional news service for the Thames Valley. And in addition, I hope we'll be able to give the viewer a range of long-running regular series which they can expect at regular times, covering other areas besides news and current affairs.
Nationally, Meridian makes shows like Birds of a Feather and promises a network of entertainment with an emphasis on comedy. The style of presentation will obviously change, but that doesn't necessarily mean familiar faces will disappear.
People will be looking to a new station to deliver some change. The right time for that change will be in January '93. At the same time, I'm well aware that viewers will not want us to discard people and programme services that they really value. So part of my aim is to ensure that, where possible, there could be continuity between the TVS service that will exist in 1992 and the Meridian service that begins in 1993.
But there will be job losses. TVS currently employs 800 staff. Meridian, as a publisher broadcaster, plans to operate with less than half that number.
Clearly, there are good people working at TVS, and I hope we'll be working with many of them. At the same time, I expect we'll be working with many people who will become, or who will work with, independent production companies. And that's the exciting thing about the future, the growth of independent production in the next decade.
Meridian's first transmission to the region will begin at midnight on the 1st of January 1993. Guy Phillips, Coast to Coast.
Yeah, it all works. Now, other news. And a heart patient in Berkshire has been told that he can't have vital surgery because